Good afternoon, mental health marchers. It's lovely to be here today on these May Day celebrations. And I think it's fantastic that we can march for mental health together with our colleagues and comrades who are in the park today celebrating Workers' Day, International Workers' Day, May Day. And let's not forget, we are all workers. Don't let anyone tell you anything different. We are all workers. This is our day, and our mental health is critical to our well-being. And if anyone has any doubt that the last 6 years of austerity, that the last 6 years of cuts haven't had an impact, not just in terms of funding for services, but in terms of how we have been treated at work, the extra hours we've been expected to do, covering for staff who've been retired early, or taken early retirement, the extra stress and strain on our lives every day is enough to send more people to the services of mental health. And that is part and parcel why we have the crisis we have today, not just because of the cuts, but because each and every one of us has more work, a higher burden put onto us by a cruel government who understands nothing else except profit, money, and looking out for their own self-interests. But I just want to go and take a step back and say, first of all, I wanted a couple of thank yous. I wanted to thank Terry O'Shea and Terry Skirm, Emma Corlett, and the team at NSFT Crisis, who have for years, battled against not just their own trust, but against politicians, duplicitous politicians. I don't like to think I'm one of them, but there are some out there, duplicitous politicians who have told them that there isn't a problem, nothing to see here, everything's fine. Well, we know it isn't, and they've been key and critical to putting Norwich on the map in the campaign against mental health service cuts in this country and this city, and they deserve a massive round of applause. It was 2013 when I first stood on a picket line outside, on a unison picket line, when mental health staff were basically highlighting the fact that the cuts that had been proposed and were being planned were going to have a massive impact on thousands of the most vulnerable people across Norfolk and Suffolk and Waveney. And I remember talking to them on that picket line, and the thing that struck me was, although they were striking about what was happening to them and their pensions and their pay, their main concern when they spoke to me wasn't about themselves, it was about their patients and the people they looked after. And that told me something very critical, that these people, although they work in the NHS and they deserve to be paid properly as all staff do, they cared passionately about how their service was being run into the ground for the service users in this city and this county and across Norfolk and Suffolk. And that says to me something about the staff who work day in, day out, not just in mental health services, but in public health services across, and the National Health Service across this country. They keep our services running despite the cuts, and they deserve a round of applause, and they deserve our support as well. And that's why I am so proud that my party has said that NHS staff and the real terms pay cut that has been imposed upon them will be abolished if there is a Labour government that comes in June. We will end the pay cuts, the real term pay cuts for NHS staff, the people who hold our NHS together. No more cuts, no more Theresa May telling people, Jeremy Hunt telling people to work harder for less. We won't have it. So I've heard stories from across the constituency, week in, week out, month in, month out. I have people come into my consultancy and my surgery to come and see me and tell me about what's happening to them and their services. We understand how deep the cuts are going. They tell me the real impacts. We've heard about the statistics. We've also heard from the families the real impact that this is having on people's lives, the lost loved ones who can never come back, and the agony of knowing that if that service had been provided better, if that support had been there, if the finances and resources had been there to put the care in place that was needed, that person might still be there. That agony, I don't think any of us can truly understand. But listening to those speakers today, those families today who try to share their pain with us on a very public platform. Can I thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing that, because you turned this from a figure and a statistic into a reality. But, you know, look, we're here on May Day, and I'm pleased to say it isn't May Day celebrating the Prime Minister's birthday or anything like that. It's a May Day celebrating workers and people, as we've said already. Workers and people who deserve to have services that stand up and do what they're required to do. We fought for the National Health Service. We fought for the welfare state. And sometimes it's easy to forget that an economy isn't there for us to service it. An economy is there to service us. We are the economy. And I remember a couple of months ago, I was asked to go and see some people in the city. They wanted to speak to me about the Labour Party and what was happening to it. And one of them said to me, Clive, you know, look, we in the city, we make lots of money, lots of profit, and we pay our taxes, and we're happy to pay our taxes. We're happy to put money into the welfare state and to the NHS. We just want you to spend our money, our profit, efficiently. And I said, well, let's wind back there a second. Whoa, 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 whoa. I said, it's not your profit. You don't make that profit in isolation. The schools, the roads, the hospitals, the clean water that your staff drink, you make that profit standing on the shoulders of the rest of society. You are not giving us that money. We make that money. It's our money. And this is what you have to understand. You don't make profit in isolation. We all make it. We are the people, and we deserve the very best in public services, because we are the public service and the public services are us. So look, I'm going to say one last thing to you on this campaign. I've been here week in, week out, year in, year out on marches like this. And I think that the solidarity and the support that you've shown here today, that you've shown week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, you're going to need more of it. There's a long, hard slog ahead. I know everyone is talking about Brexit at the moment. It underlies and pervades everything. It's the elephant in the room. And obviously in this election, a lot of people, and I imagine a lot of people in this audience today, as many people in our city are, think that we are making a terrible and tragic mistake by leaving our friends and comrades in Europe. I agree with that. I understand there are people who think that we need to get out of the European Union. We had that vote, it's happened. But I tell you what, there was no vote to leave the single market. There was no vote to crash the economy. There was no vote for the hard Brexit that Theresa May wants. And I'll tell you why many of these Tories want a hard Brexit, why they want the Brexit that they are planning on. They want it because they want the perfect opportunity to say to people, oh, look at the economy, it's going to the dogs. We're going to have to end the NHS. We're going to have to end the welfare state because we can't afford it anymore. We're on our own, and that's the price that you're going to have to pay. Longer hours, less public service, and your NHS sold to the highest bidder amongst Trump's corporates. We want to take your power back from Europe and hand it over in a seedy backroom deal in Washington to the corporates of Trump. No, thank you. It's not going to happen on our watch. And this election, yes, it's about Brexit, but it's also about the future of our NHS, the future of adult and elderly social care, the future of education funding and education in this country. Do you want grammar schools, or do you want an education system that works for every child, in every school, in every city? I know what I want, and I know that at this election, there is only one choice: to stop Theresa May any way we can from delivering a hard Brexit and destroying the public services and welfare state that we, our fathers, our grandfathers and grandmothers fought for the last 50 years. Don't let it slip away. Stand strong, stand firm, and send Theresa May and the Tories a clear message on June the 8th. That we are not for sale, our public services are not for sale, and we are not going to let you have the hard Brexit that you want to impose on this country. Stand strong, stand tall, stand firm, and stop the Tories. Thank you very much.
Hi, our next speaker is the chair of Equal Lives. We're just